Hi, everybody. Welcome. As we let everyone enter the room and get situated, feel free to enjoy the music and use that chat function to let us know where you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're tuning in from Facebook, feel free to write your name and where you're tuning in from in the comment section below. We have Debbie from Delaware. Welcome. Anthony from the Bay Area near San Francisco. Welcome. Anne from New York. Happy to have you. Richard, hi. Good to see you. Glad you could join us today. He's from Ohio. We have Chris from Delaware as well. Delaware people today. Lori in Canada. So glad we have some Canadians joining today. Oh, and Amy, she's tuning in from Florida. She's actually headed to Kenya next month. We're happy to have you. Patty, she's from Canada as well. Welcome. Carol from Ohio, good to see you. Happy you're here. Michelle from Illinois. Another Debbie from Pennsylvania. Love it. We've got people from all over the US and Canada. All right. So for the sake of time, let's go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I cannot tell you how excited I am to be here today, hosting our Destination Spotlight of Kenya. My name is Bailey. I've been with EF for just about 5 years now, and I had the pleasure of traveling on our Kenya Wildlife Safari back in 2019, and I'll tell you, I talk about it all the time. So just a few housekeeping notes before we jump in. We are in a webinar format. So what that means is we cannot see or hear you as our guests, but we still want to hear from you. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please submit those via the Q&A function that's located either at the top or bottom of your screen. And if you are joining us from Facebook, go ahead and use the comment section below to submit those questions. We will have some time at the end of the presentation to answer as many of those questions as we can. So where to begin here? When we were creating this presentation, I was trying to think of a word that encapsulates this tour and the experiences that you'll have. And truly, it's so hard because every single moment is exhilarating, inspiring, and just downright incredible. And it's really an unforgettable tour. And so I guess that's where I would land on my word for this tour, unforgettable. From waking up with the sun to head out on safari, seeing a lion or a cheetah for the first time, to spending time with the Maasai people and learning about their traditions and everyday lives. This tour is one that should be on everyone's bucket list, and I cannot wait to dive into this presentation. So let's talk about what we're going to cover today. First, we'll briefly touch on safari tours with Go Ahead and the different ways that you can experience wildlife with us. We'll talk about the itinerary we're covering today, which is our Kenya Wildlife Safari. We'll have a few tips for you to know before you head out, and we'll learn about the Big Five and some tour highlights that we have. And then, of course, we'll end our presentation here with a live Q&A for you to ask our special guests some questions. Now, first, let's talk about the Go Ahead difference. Now, here at Go Ahead, we believe the best way to learn about the world is to experience it, and we want to help as many people do just that. We take care of all the little details, ensuring that as travel is opening back up, which it is, we have people on the road right now, everything is arranged for you so you can have an incredible and safe experience. Between your hand-picked hotels and meals, on-tour transportation, and personalized flight itineraries, Go Ahead cultivates a really unique and unforgettable experience for our travelers. But what really brings our tours to life are our local tour directors and guides. Their love and passion for the places that we visit is truly incomparable. And we're lucky enough to be joined by two of our Kenyan tour directors today, who I am so excited to introduce to you. We have Christopher and Francis. So I want to pass it over to Christopher first. Can you just tell us a little bit more about yourself?
All right. Okay, my name is Christopher Musyoka, and thank you very much for the opportunity. I have been doing a go-ahead for 4 years now as a tour director, but I've been to the industry for quite some time, so that is like 21 years. I do all sorts of safaris. First of all, I do the cultural safaris. I've done a lot of, done an anthology. I've also done zoology. I've also done botany. So I'm so happy to be here and looking forward to see you one of the days. So if maybe you have any questions on the program, please don't hesitate, ask any questions that we'll be able to answer. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Christopher. And we're so happy to have you here. Now, Francis, I'll turn it over to you to introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. My name is Francis Sadera. I've been a tour manager for Go Ahead for the last at least 14 years now, but I have been a guide for 20 years. I have also trained in various fields as wildlife history and different other training, but I also did first aid course and firefighting, which is also very vital in our trainings and our way of doing this job. And I have been a guide for various levels, including being a naturalist in various national parks, tracking the animals and tracking using actually the trails and when they rub onto the trees, which animals have did that. So I'll also go through the overview of the program once my time turns up.
Wonderful. Thank you, Francis. We're so excited to have both of you here with us. And we'll hear from our special guests again here in a few minutes. But first, I want to talk about our safari and wildlife tours at Go Ahead. So with our safari and wildlife tours, it really gives you an opportunity to witness the wonders of nature with expert guides. So of course, you can travel to Africa and experience one of our safari tours, which include Botswana and Zimbabwe, Tanzania, South Africa, and our topic today, which is Kenya. You can dive into the lush jungles and wildlife with our highlights of Central America tour to Costa Rica and Panama, or you can experience wildlife right in your backyard with our Alaska National Parks tour to Denali and the Kenai Fjords. So lots of options for you. And now I want to dive into Kenya, which is why we're all here. This tour is a perfect length at 13 days with the option to extend into Tanzania, making it a 17-day tour. Now, this tour begins in Nairobi, and it'll actually bring you all the way up to ABERDARE National Park, over to the Great Rift Valley, the Maasai Mara, and it even takes you down to AMBOSELI, which sits right next to Mount Kilimanjaro. So a very comprehensive tour, and I can assure you there's never a dull moment since you'll be on safari for the majority of this trip. Now, when you're planning to go on this tour, there's a few things that you should know before you hop on your plane to Kenya. This tour is a little bit different than our standard tours for those who have traveled with us before. So I just want to highlight a few things for you. First, your primary mode of transportation will be your designated safari 4x4 vehicle. There are 6 seats in each car with plenty of legroom, and every single seat is a window seat, which is phenomenal for safari game drives. Sometimes the terrain does get a bit bumpy though, and so you might bounce around a bit, kind of like this. So if you have any concern about that, be sure to bring a little pillow or seat pillow for an extra cushion for those rides. Now, it's in your best interest as well to pack neutral and earth tones for this tour. You want to avoid any black, navy blue, or neon colors, and be sure to pack layers because you'll be going out on safari early in the morning and it's quite chilly, but through the day it does get warmer and warmer, so you'll be taking some layers off, so plan for that. And also something to note, with a soft-sided suitcase, it's definitely necessary for this tour. This is because we're going to be putting all of those suitcases in the back of the 4x4 vehicle. And in order to ensure they'll all fit, that soft-sided suitcase is necessary. Now, you will have one night at the Ark Lodge. This is a bit off the beaten track, and just due to its size, we ask that you bring an overnight bag for that night stay. So definitely plan on that. In regards to currency and tipping, the currency is the Kenyan shilling. We recommend that you bring or that you carry as little local cash as possible and some US dollars. If you are going to have that US dollar, just make sure that it's crisp bills and printed 2004 or later, okay? So ATMs are going to be available, but most readily available in Nairobi. You'll be there 2 times on this tour. And while you're there, we recommend taking that cash out. And one thing to note, North American credit cards are accepted, but you're going to be in really remote areas. So not always will that be the case. But if you are going to bring them along, Visa is the most widely accepted. And you should plan to tip the driver of your safari vehicle like your tour director. There will be another lead tour director who's going to be making sure logistically everything is going as planned. They may or may not be your driver, but feel free to tip them in addition for those services. Now let's talk about safety in Kenya just in regard to the new normal of travel. Sanitization is going to be very important on this tour. There will be hand sanitizer in every safari vehicle that you'll want to put on every time you re-enter. And your 4x4 is going to be fumigated every single day. Please be mindful as well of social distancing and abide by that 6-foot rule. And just to note, masks will be worn in the vehicles throughout the trip, and this is really just for everybody's safety. So let's go ahead and shift gears here a bit. I have a quick question for the group. A poll should appear for you here in just a second. If it doesn't show automatically, there is a poll button either at the top or bottom of your screen. Go ahead and click that and it should initiate for you. So I'll go ahead and ask the question, do you know which animals make up the big 5? So this should be appeared for you in Facebook. I'm going to read this out for you. So if you want to put your answer in the comments section below, please do that. So we have lion, leopard, rhino, elephant, Cape buffalo, or lion, leopard, rhino, elephant, giraffe, or lion, cheetah, rhino, elephant, Cape buffalo, or last, zebra, cheetah, rhino, elephant, and Cape buffalo. So I'll give you another few seconds to get those answers in. And on Facebook, feel free to just do 1, 2, 3, or 4 if that's easier for you. Let's see. All right, so it looks like the majority of the group said number 2, which is lion, leopard, rhino, elephant, and giraffe. So actually, this is probably what I would have guessed as well, that giraffe or cheetah in there. But the correct answer is actually lion, leopard, rhino, elephant, and Cape buffalo. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about the big 5. So Christopher, I'm actually going to pass it over to you. Can you tell us more about this infamous group of animals?
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. The big 5. The big 5, I think when we were asking the questions, some of the guys did not get it right. Some of them got it right. They are not called the big 5 because of the size or because they are big. No. This issue of the big 5 was started by the hunters because it wasn't, when poaching was allowed in Kenya or rather in Africa, it was not difficult. It was difficult and it was dangerous to kill those animals. So somebody could only be famous when he had killed those animals. So that is the reason why we call them the big 5. Okay, the big 5, like lions, when you come for our tours, we'll be able to see the pride of lions, especially in Maasai Mara. You'll be able to see, the social kind of, as in cats, the lions are the social cats for the cats. So you'll be able to see the different, or rather, you'll be able to see lots and lots of lions with the lionesses racing the calves together. You'll be able to see also, if you're lucky enough, you'll be able to see the mating, like you can see on the picture there. You'll be able to see, you know, to go around and look for the lions. And if you're also lucky enough, you might also see the kill. But we are not promising anything. When you also come you come for the safari in Kenya, you'll be able to see big elephants. You'll see those big parades of elephants, especially in Amboseli. But also in Mara, they are there, but not as big as in on the other side of Amboseli. Well, let's talk about a little bit of the elephants. When you come for our tour, we are able to talk about the elephants. You know, we talk and try to tell the difference between the males and females. We'll be able to tell also the different, to see the tusk, the modified incisors, to see the one of the elephants. If it is right-handed, it will have like one in the tusk, which is more bending or maybe broken. If it is on the right, it will be the right hand. So we'll also talk about, we'll be able to talk about the symbiotic relationship between the elephants and those birds. Those are the egrets, the little egrets, to tell you why you see the elephant is giving them a ride. All right, if you go to like places like Nakuru, you come for a safari, you see what we call the rhinoceros. Rhinoceros, the black rhinos, the white rhinos, they live as in crash, they live as in group. And the main difference between the black and white, it is just, you can see it on the screen, it is the white rhinos, they are grazers. That is why they have like, they are flat kind of a mouth to collect all the grass. And the other one is hook-lipped because they are browsers, they eat leaves. Otherwise, when you come for a safari, we'll be able to look for that, though we are not promising. And when you come to the buffaloes, especially the place you go to Nakuru, that is a place where to see what we call obstinacy of buffaloes, the big heart of buffaloes. That is a home for the buffaloes. We'll be able also to tell you more about the difference between the male and female, like the one with the oxpeckers, with the little birds on the top of them. We'll also tell you the symbiotic relations of the buffaloes and the birds. We'll be able also to tell you the reason why you'll always see the boys coming together. The boys, they form their own, obstinacy. We'll be able to tell you the reason why, and the reason why it should be when the elephants they attain the age of 20, between 20 to 25, they are also become a little bit heavy because they are still growing. So that is why when they will be walking, they are like the head is a little bit heavy. So they are swinging like the head. So so by doing that, these elephants will never cope with the group with the females. That is why they just go somewhere where there's water and there's grass, and that is the place they will be. Let's talk about the leopard, the Mr. Leopard. This is my favorite. You look at the leopard. This one seems to be like just like roses in the flowers. It is the prettiest of all animals. That is according to Christopher, because of the roses. So when you come for safaris, we'll be able to look for one if it is there. And though we are not promising, we don't promise that, please. So we'll be able to look for one, and if we see one, we will realize that most of the time, the leopards will put their carriers on the trees because of the hyenas, because they do not want problems with the hyenas, and also they do not want the lions, especially the male lions, because sometimes they are scavengers, they do not want to get their prey from them. So so the leopard, you don't find them as in a group. Maybe when it is, or when it's a mating season or the breeding season, when you can find two, and we call it a lip, or maybe when it's a mother and the calf. So generally, if you come for the safaris, we'll be able to look for those kind of animals. And thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Christopher. Yeah, and that last photo there, actually, we That was the only sighting that we had when I was on the trip of the leopard, and you can see its meal there hanging as well, which was really, really interesting for us to see. So definitely an exciting part of searching for those leopards since they're so few and far between. Now, I do have a question for you, Christopher. It came in from the audience, and let me see here. Richard is wondering what time of year would be best to see baby lions? Do we know?
It depends on the season, because especially immediately after the migration of the wildebeest, when it takes place, everybody is very strong. So immediately after that, that is the time they do the breeding. And so probably by October, those kind of, though sometimes also depends, because it also depends on how much they are eating, yes.
Yeah.
By October, yeah.
So perfect. So end of really the Great Migration, they've got full bellies. So maybe into fall time when you would maybe potentially see. That's great. Perfect. So I want to actually pass it over to Francis now, who's going to talk us through a few highlights and places that you're going to see on this tour. So Francis, can you go ahead and tell us about the trip?
Yeah, actually, I just wanted to take this opportunity to go through the itinerary. It begins on the second day after everybody has arrived from various destinations to Nairobi and having spent the night in Nairobi. Our second day in Nairobi is the day we have excursion of visiting various places. One of the places we are going to start visiting is the David Shedrick Elephant Place, where baby elephants have been rescued by various authorities in the country, having their mothers have died either of starvation from drought-prone areas, or they die from having been poached. Their mother have been actually in areas that are exposed to poachers. And now the babies find a good haven, a good place in Nairobi to be raised. And once they are big, they are returned back to the wild. We will be able to get there, and it's only open for 1 hour a day. That's between 11 and 12 o'clock. And then the rest of the day is closed so that the babies could have more time by themselves without people, many people surrounding them. The next place after the David Shedrick, we will visit the Karen Blixen Museum. Karen Blixen Museum features the history of Karen Blixen herself in the early 1900s when she was in Africa. She built that house in the slopes of a place called Ngong Hills, where she could very much see the Ngong Hills as a very favorite place. And she stayed there and she tried to grow various kind of crops. That is, she tried to grow coffee and tea, but it fails because of different kind of pests, not knowing the kind of soil. So all that kind of crops fail. We'll get an opportunity to be taken around by the museum guides, and a lot of information about the museum, we'll get it from ourselves and also from the museum guides. Then after there, we will have to visit the giraffe center. The giraffe center is where we will have the live giraffe, which have also lost its habitat in the western part of the country. Its name, the species of the giraffe, is called Rothschild giraffe. And it also finds its place in Nairobi, where they are also getting raised. And once they are big, they are taken back to the wild into national parks like Lake Nakuru National Park, which we will also visit along our tour. In the place of the giraffe, we'll get a history of the giraffes of Kenya and the giraffes of Africa. Africa is a home to 8 different species of giraffes. Kenya is a home to 3 different species. 1 in the far north, areas that we are not going to cover, and 2 areas that we are going to cover. That is the Rothschild giraffe, which you are seeing there. And if we happen to get to see in the wild, and the Maasai giraffe. The Maasai giraffe is the southern giraffe that lives in both Kenya and Tanzania. So it roams between most of the rest of the country, except the 2. So after the giraffe, between the visits, we will go and have lunch in the current, within that area where we are doing the excursion. Then we return back to our hotel in Nairobi town, which we are staying. The next day, we leave for the ABERDARE Country Club. The ABERDARE Country Club and the Ark itself. The ABERDARE Country Club is closer to ABERDARE National Park, and it is part of the ARC itself family. So that day, you will be expected to have pack and have an overnight bag, because the ARC itself is an overnight stay, and you only need a few things. So you're only going to have a small bag and your carry-on for an overnight stay. When we get to the ABERDARE Country Club, we are going to have lunch. But on our way, before we get there, we are going to drive through farms of different kind of crops, coffee, plantations of fruits, and also farmers selling their fruits along the way, and also pineapples are also being grown by big companies, and the pineapples are doing very well here. So they are actually one of the big cash crop in the country. We will be in good time for lunch to the ABERDARE Country Club, and then we will board into a big bus and go to the ARC. Getting through the ARC National Park, you might see animals on the way. It is a home to huge herds of buffaloes, elephants, hyenas, different kinds of hogs, and bushbacks, and other kinds of antelopes. When we get there, you will be seeing animals from an observation point or a deck. There is the lower deck, the upper, and the middle. So when the animals come to drink water, you'll have an opportunity to see them from every kind of level while you are at the hotel. They have the buzzer to wake you up when elephants come to drink water, when buffaloes are there, or any special animal that can come and make some activities. If you want, they will tell you what one buzzer means, 2, 3, or 4. That will be while at the ARC. We'll spend the night there, enjoy the nature, see the animals, and stay there for one night. The next morning, we will start our journey to the Great Rift Valley. Before we get back, we will drive through the ABERDARE National Park, and we go back to pick our luggage. On our way to the Rift Valley place, we will stop at the equator, which is the imaginary line that cut the whole world into two. That place we will have a little bit of a stop, and you will see the demonstration by the local people as to how water spin clockwise, anti-clockwise, or just drop directly, which is a process called Coriolis effect, whereby you see all that demonstration being conducted by the local people. After the equator, then that is the time we drive for another 2 hours to the Rift Valley Lodge. We are going to be in the Rift Valley Lodge for 2 nights. The first night, we are going to be there, and we'll only have an opportunity to do a nature walk at the place. And the second day, we will go to Lake Nakuru. On that Rift Valley Lodge called Sopa, there are several animals which we will enjoy to see. Hippopotamus are there. It will be great to see them at the lake. They just reside in the lake and come out at night to eat the grass. We have a population of giraffes there. We have a population of waterbirds and a few zebras. They will also be roaming along the lodge, and it will be a perfect place to see some of the other species there. The next day, which is our second night at the place, we are going to go to Lake Nakuru. Lake Nakuru is also a lake in the Rift Valley. It is an alkaline lake, or hard water, or water that does not have an outlet. So it means the place is good for the kind of species of shrimps and blue-green algae for the flamingos to eat. So that will be the first place to see the flamingos, as there is plenty of food. And not only the flamingos, we also have the pelicans and over 400 species of birds in Lake Nakuru. It is going to be a place also for us to see rhinos, as Lake Nakuru is a home to 2 different species of rhino, the white rhino and the black rhino. Not mentioning the big herds of buffaloes. Lions also exist in Lake Nakuru, and leopards. But we don't have elephants in Lake Nakuru, as the ecosystem is fragile for elephants. That day, we are going to drive to the Maasai Mara. We'll take about 5 hours to about 6 hours to get into the Maasai Mara. And that is a place also we are going to stay for 2 nights. The Maasai Mara will have the opportunity the first day, after arriving at the lodge, to go for the afternoon game drive at 4 o'clock to about 6 to 6:30. We'll get to explore the Mara and see the kind of wildlife that are found there. Maasai Mara will have rhinos, elephants, lions, cheetahs, leopards, ostrich, hyenas, and so many different other kinds of animals. Maasai Mara is also the place to see the great migration of wildebeest and zebras that comes from Serengeti into Maasai Mara. They always migrate from the south to the north, and that is Maasai Mara. On our second day, we'll have the opportunity to also experience the balloon ride. Balloon ride is a spectacular opportunity for us to go and have a view of these wild animals and the nature without homestead across the plains, grasslands plains of the Maasai Mara, the open savanna grassland. Then with that day as well, we will also have an opportunity to interact with the local people called the Maasais. I'm one of the Maasais as well, and I come from the Maasai Mara. So we'll have an opportunity to see my tribe in the Maasai Mara, and we do visit the Maasai village as part of our program. We will just let you know as to what time will be appropriate to do the Maasai village visit. That time, you will also explore the culture of different kinds of people from different parts of the world. And over the same day, we will come back in the evening after going through all that program and spend the night in one of the lodges in the Maasai Mara. On our last day, which is the third day, we will go for a 6:30 game drive in the morning, and we come back for breakfast, and then we have a mid-morning relaxation until lunchtime. We'll have an early lunch and drive back to Nairobi, where we are going to stay for an overnight day in Nairobi. Thank you. Well, I just want to remind you that on the days that we are having 2-night stay, it is the best places also to have laundry being done. That is, if you are staying in the Mara for 2 nights, it's the best day to give out your clothes for them to be taken care of with the laundry, and you get back the second day. Same case applies to when we were at the Great Rift Valley, and also the last destination, which will be AMBOSELI, because it's also a 2 nights stay, and it is also a very good opportunity for your laundry to be done before the next move.
Great. Thank you so much, Francis. Yeah, that was the question that we had come in, I think a couple of times actually, just about, you have to pack light for this trip, and laundry is always a concern. So thank you for answering that. Yeah, so on those 2-night stays, definitely plan for laundry then. And thank you for all of that information, Francis. I mean, we covered so much, and this tour has a lot to offer. So thank you. And I want to pass it over to Christopher again, who's going to tell us a little bit more about the AMBOSELI region. So take it away, Christopher.
Right. From Nairobi to AMBOSELI, you will start very early in the morning, like 8 o'clock. Then we pick you from 8 o'clock from the hotel. Then before we set off for the AMBOSELI, we need to have the COVID test. It is a requirement, and you need to have before 96 hours. So we pick you from the hotel at 8 o'clock. We pass by one of the hospitals or whatever the institution is. We go there, we have the COVID test, and then from there we proceed to AMBOSELI. On our way, we'll have one stop. That is after 120 kilometers, we'll have one stop. Then from there, we'll go to AMBOSELI. We expect to be in AMBOSELI. We expect to be in AMBOSELI in good time for lunch, like 1:30, 1:15. Then we have lunch. Then after lunch, we go for 4 o'clock game drive. 4 o'clock game drive. Then we'll be coming back probably by 6 o'clock. What to expect to see in AMBOSELI? That is a place that is a home for the elephant. That is a place where you see the big parades of elephants. That is a place where you can see like 50 altogether. That is a place where you can see around 100 elephants altogether. We see elephants there. We have the different kind of wildebeest, which is a blue, southern blue wildebeest, which is bigger. That is a place also, is a good place to view Kilimanjaro, and a very, very good sceneries. Also, we have different species of birds. We have 400 species of birds, different species of birds, with the biggest being the flamingos. In our days, there's water coming in, which is coming in, and every day, the water level of the AMBOSELI, it is rising up. So we don't know where the water is coming from, but there is more water and more water, which means there is more of the flamingos. All right. Then we go back. The next day, morning, we can do the morning game drives and the afternoon game drives. Then the last day, we just check out and drive back to Nairobi. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Christopher. And wow, thank you both so much for all of this information. If I could, I'd be on a plane to Kenya tomorrow. And I actually want to take this time quickly to note that we are running tours to Kenya as of now. Christopher and Francis have actually already led tours, so that's very exciting. But please note that we're currently not running the extension to Tanzania. However, this could change in the future. So I do want to have some more time for questions. So let's go ahead and we can start up our Q&A session. We did get some throughout this presentation and some pre-submitted as well. But if you have any you'd like to add, now is the time. Go ahead and submit those in the Q&A section, or if you're on Facebook, go ahead and comment them below. And let's kick it off here with some pre-submitted questions. So first, we just talked about Kilimanjaro and the opportunity to see it while in Amboseli. Christopher, would it be possible for Linda to hike Mount Kilimanjaro? Do we have time for that or no?
There's no time on our side to do Kilimanjaro, but we always have like a small walk, not in Kilimanjaro, but only to do like a small walk in an observation hill, maybe to see Kilimanjaro. Otherwise, we cannot do hiking Kilimanjaro from Kenya side. It can only be done from Tanzania side, because in Kenyan side, it's very, very steep. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for answering that. Now, we did get another question from another Linda. So she's wondering if packing just a backpack for the whole trip, if that would be okay, as you're moving locations a lot. And I can actually take this one and let you know that I did pack a backpack and only a backpack. One of the more hiking ones, I think it came up to about here, but that was enough clothing for me. And I did take advantage of the laundry services in a few different locations. So if you're able to do that, I highly suggest it. It makes it a lot easier for you. Now let's see if we did get any other questions here. I'm just gonna pull up our list. Let me see. Now, as far as the jewelry goes, I know that this is something super important in different regions throughout Kenya. And I know we're able to see this, especially in the Maasai, but is there a specific jewelry that's made by women in Nairobi? Do we have any insight on that?
Yes, we have a place called Kazuri Beads, whereby the workers there are mostly women. These are single mothers. And if we have time, we will visit the Kazuri Beads and see how they make the clay pottery, the clay beads, the entire process until the finished goods. So there is a place in Nairobi, and it will be within the first day of our day of excursion. And we have the opportunity, we will also visit the Kazuri Beads alongside their excursion places.
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's see here. Now, I know we briefly touched on this, but just to highlight it again, what time of year is best, you're more likely, to see the Great Migration? So if you could just highlight that again, the best time of year to potentially see it.
The Great Migration is an annual migration of wildebeest, which occur right now. They are there in the Maasai Mara, and they usually come the month of July all through to October, but subject to availability of enough grass. If the previous year has rained a lot, then they can stay all through to November or sometimes end of November. But the migration itself is at its peak between the month of July, August, September. And then by October, they are going to the south side of Maasai Mara, but part of western northern Serengeti. And when they go back, either the month of November or December, they will not come back again until the same year afterward. But we have a small population that we call resident population, and they only migrate between the Maasai community land and the Maasai Mara Game Reserve. It happened, they do also migrate the same time the Serengeti Maasai Mara population migrates to Maasai Mara. And when there is no wildebeest in the Maasai Mara, the rest of the resident population moves out of Maasai Mara and go to the Maasai conservancies and Maasai community land away from the Maasai Mara.
Perfect. Yeah, so planning during those summer months, you'll have more of a chance to see that migration. But of course, we can't guarantee anything.
Yeah.
But that's your best chance. Thank you, Francis, for answering that. Let's see. So we had another question that came in. So I know that there is a ban, if you will, for plastic bags. And Tammy wants to know what the best way to carry, toiletries or things that need a bag around it. So I can actually take this one. And so if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, Francis and Christopher, but you can have reusable plastic type of bags, but you can't have like grocery bags or Ziploc bags, things like that. So it has to be a reusable container. Is that correct, guys?
Yes, that is now the mode they're using.
Yeah.
Something that you don't finish using it and throw it out.
Yeah.
That's how the country is trying to reduce the volume of plastics that people throw away after they use. And if you have something that is reusable to the people or even to yourself, it's very good to have it, and in small sizes.
Perfect. Great. Let's see. And then we did have a question from Marianne. She's wondering if the balloon ride is included or if it's an additional charge, and it is actually not included, so it will be an additional charge. And then let me see. So I'll direct this to whoever'd like to answer, maybe Christopher, if you want to take this one. There are a lot of longer drives on this in the safari vehicle on this tour. What are the opportunities that they have to use bathrooms, or what do bathroom breaks look like on this tour?
Okay, on each and every tour, we always drive like 100 kilometers and we'll stop we'll always have a we'll have a stop at the gift shops. We normally stop at the gift shops because the toilets there, the washrooms are there. They are very, very, very clean. So they should not worry about the toilet, the washrooms, because every 100 kilometers we'll have a stop. And it is even in our itinerary. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you for answering that. Great. And then we also had someone who wrote in a question regarding Wi-Fi connection. So can you guys speak to that in each of the lodges? What is that like? Is there a good connection, or what should they be prepared for?
Okay. In each and every lodge, they have a Wi-Fi, they have a Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi is only on the lobby. That is, or rather, that is where it is very, very strong. So when we get to the hotels, we'll be able to be given, if it is as a password, the guys working the hotels, they always give you the password. Or maybe some of the hotels nowadays, it is just open. You just check in and then you just, accept terms and conditions of the Wi-Fi. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And then we had a question too from Marianne. She's wondering about buying things along the way. What is your suggestion? So when you're stopping at maybe like little markets that are on the trip, is it best to use the US bills or Kenyan shillings? What do you think they would prefer?
I think, sorry, Christopher, go ahead, Christopher.
Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the currency you're using. You can as well use the credit cards. You can use the dollars, you can use the Kenyan shillings. But we recommend, if maybe we are stopping in the big shops, that is the best place to buy. Not just anywhere, because sometimes you can just buy something which is not good and you have nowhere to take it back. Thank you.
Yeah, in addition to that, prices in the local places are bargainable. You should be prepared to negotiate the price. If they say something $100, it will probably not worth $100 or even $70. It may worth $50 or even less. So please be able to negotiate for your price. We don't have a fixed price tag on every item. If you give out the bigger money, that's fine. But it's a practice that it is a flow. It brings you together with them and chat. Don't think it is an offense if you don't buy from them if the price is high, because they always agree and they understand you're buying.
Great tip. And thank you for adding that in. And then we also had a question too, Francis, from Lisa, and she's wondering about the meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Are all of them included, or what does that look like on this tour?
Well, once we set off out of Nairobi or from our second day all meals are included. I wanted to start by saying on arrival day, you are on bed and breakfast. It means your dinners are not covered. But the second day in Nairobi, which is the day we are doing the excursions, all meals will be covered the entire trip until the last day when we leave AMBOSELI to Nairobi. It means AMBOSELI, you are only covered for breakfast, but when we come to Nairobi, where you're going to get a day room, you are not covered for lunch or dinner if you're staying there. So all the meals are covered starting from the second day to the breakfast of the last day departing AMBOSELI for Nairobi.
Great. Thank you so much. And we did have a question too from Brenda. She's wondering about cameras. So is it best to take an actual camera, or is using a cell phone camera, will that do while you're out on safari? If Francis or Christopher, either one, if you want to answer this and let her know what's best, that would be great.
Both of them work. As our team, our clients have already used both, and some are using the phone cameras. Nowadays, the phone cameras have a long lens. They can get good pictures. And some of them are having even medium-sized cameras. So all cameras are good. I don't think we will recommend one. We can just say things that are light to carry together with other luggages we're having.
Exactly. Great. Anything you want to add to that, Christopher? Does that sound good? Any camera, really.
You know, it doesn't matter. Even if you have a good camera, you can as well just connect it with your phone. So we just, you know, we welcome anything, because, you know, some of the guys, maybe they are professionals. We are not saying that, we are not telling them to come with their phones. They can come with their big cameras, because we'll also have like big bands maybe to help them to take photos. And, you know, they can be able, you know, when they're taking photos, they are, you know, they are standing on the jeep. So I think, yeah, they can just come with whatever they feel is good. Yes.
I remember from my tour too, actually, we had someone on the trip who had one of those massive, I don't even know how he held it up. I think he let me use it at one point and I couldn't even hold it. The lens was like this large. So there are some people who come very prepared and are there for capturing those moments. But I think I agree with Christopher and Francis that a phone will be all right too. All right. Now, okay, we have one final question here that came in, and I'm really curious to hear responses from both of you. So we'll start with Francis. What is your favorite part about this trip?
I honestly want to say I like it all, because all of them are unique in nature. Starting from the day one in Nairobi to the last day in AMBOSELI, each one of the destination is unique in its nature. And I will always recommend that the entire trip is the best selected for us.
I agree. And Christopher, if you could narrow it down to one, do you think you could, or do you agree with Francis that the whole trip? What do you think?
As Francis has said, you know, every park is different, and you know, the kind of maybe the animals which are on the other side are not on the other side. The scenery is also different. Like, for example, if you go to AMBOSELI, you'll be able to see elephants in open areas. When you get to the other side, you see elephants are sort of like hiding themselves. There is a little bit of bushy on the ABERDAREs. You don't see that. You see on the other side, like ABERDAREs, you'll be able to see kind of the red elephants, because the kind of soil there is like the loam soil. If you go to Mara, they are blackish. If you go to the other side, you know, everything, you know, all parks are all different. And I'm telling you, this safari is the best. I'm telling you. It's a good combination. Yeah.
I could not agree more. Every day, I mean, it just never gets old. Every day you wake up, and even if you're seeing a cheetah for the second day, it's still just as incredible. And like both of you have mentioned, every single destination or every single spot that you stop on in this tour is different. So very exciting. And I think all of us would say we highly recommend this tour. And yeah, so I think that's all the questions that we had for now. And thank you both for being here. And I just want to take this moment to say, if you enjoyed yourself today, we do have a few more webinars that are coming up in the near future. You can join us for a destination spotlight of Budapest, Vienna, and Prague, as well as Israel. So those are coming up in the coming weeks here. And you can actually see a little bit more detail in just a second. So we have Tuesday, August 10th, which is actually next week, which is going to be that Budapest, Vienna, and Prague. And then August 31st will be Israel. So definitely check us out at www.goaheadtours.com/webinars to sign up for those ones. And again, just one final thank you to both Christopher and Francis. This has been so much fun being able to chat with you both and have you here speaking to our guests. And so if you guys have any parting words, feel free to share those now. Thank you guys. I think we all are excited to see everybody back on the road again. I know that Christopher and Francis are. There are tours, like I mentioned, already going to Kenya. So if you're interested, definitely give us a call at the number below. We'd be happy to have you join us on one of our Kenya tours soon. But thank you again so much. This was wonderful. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their day. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao, ciao. Have a good day.
Bye.